How much more military equipment and manpower are the Russians willing to lose before they realize they are not welcome here? Despite the fact that the number of Russian assaults has been gradually decreasing recently, over the past few days we have gathered quite a few epic videos that we would like to show you. A column of 8 Russian vehicles attempted to break through the defense. Leading the way was a tank tasked with clearing a path for the rest of the convoy. However, Ukrainian drone operators quickly figured out this plan and made the tank their priority target. After several precise hits, more than half of the enemy's military vehicles were damaged. As a result, the column gradually began to panic and scatter in different directions in an attempt to make it harder for Ukrainian FPV drone operators to target them. But by then, it was already too late to escape. As a result, out of the 8 vehicles, only 3 managed to reach their destination, and even then, their journey ended there. The crews of the other armored vehicles that changed course quickly abandoned their APCs, realizing that their chances of survival were much higher in nearby cover than inside their vehicles. Abandoned equipment won't remain unattended for long, as numerous kamikaze drones are already heading in its direction. If it were positioned closer to the front line, it might have been captured as a trophy. However, in this situation, it is far more rational to destroy it completely rather than leave it for the Russians. However, not all Russian soldiers decided to flee on foot. For example, the crew of this armored vehicle chose to test their luck and attempt to escape from Ukrainian drones on wheels. However, after the first hit, the Russians quickly changed their minds and abandoned the vehicle, just like their comrades, kindly leaving the hatch open to make it easier for the Ukrainians to send a drone inside. For example, this drone was also lucky enough to get inside. The first explosion caused significant damage, but most importantly, it managed to ignite the ammunition stored inside. After such an explosion, it's certain that neither the equipment nor the supplies inside can be salvaged. Destroying a stationary target is always easier than hitting a moving one, as the operator has more opportunities to strike a vulnerable spot, causing massive damage. Sometimes fast-moving targets manage to escape from drones like this vehicle did. It managed to break free from its pursuer and almost made it to the forest, where it could theoretically hide among the trees. However, at the very end of the road, its fate was sealed by a cleverly concealed Ukrainian mine. Since drones are one of the most effective means of destruction in modern warfare, almost all Russian and Ukrainian military equipment is equipped with electronic warfare systems. These systems are designed to jam, disrupt, or neutralize the drone's guidance and communication systems, making it more difficult for them to strike their targets accurately. However, the effectiveness of these systems varies, and skilled drone operators can sometimes find ways to bypass or evade such countermeasures. The main task of Russian APCs is to deliver infantry as far as possible, and immediately follow up with the next and the next. Russia does not have a significant technical advantage over Ukraine on the battlefield, but it has a larger human resource. It uses this to capture new territories without hesitation, sacrificing thousands of its soldiers every day. But very often such attacks are one-time ones, as after the armored vehicle drops off the infantry, it is unlikely to return home. In this assault, electronic warfare systems did not help save the equipment, but they might help next time. Therefore, one of the means of defense has been and remains artillery. An artillery shell flying directly at its target cannot be stopped by either EW or air defense. Even if the shell doesn't hit the target directly, the fragments are likely to cause significant damage to the equipment and crew. After that, drone operators will take over, being able to more effectively strike the target if it is disoriented. If these two APCs weren't stationary and were moving, it's likely that their electronic warfare systems could have extended their life. We see that just before the collision, the operator loses the signal with the drone and can't aim as precisely. So in this case, a few more explosive birds will be needed to complete the mission. But it's better this way than allowing the Russians to commit crimes on foreign land without consequence. While these two APCs are burning, another one of their comrades desperately tries to escape the battlefield, but is defeated after the first hit. So, the kamikaze drone, which was also launched to strike this target, will need to quickly find another target so that the mission isn't wasted. Fortunately, during large-scale assaults, damaged vehicles are often not far from one another, and there's always another target to direct the FPV drone to. Despite the large human resource that the Russian Federation has, the situation with technology is quite different. In the videos, we can often observe that the Russians use both old models and upgraded regular cars instead of armored vehicles. Therefore, each unit of destroyed equipment on the battlefield causes the Russians more pain than the loss of hundreds of soldiers. More and more trucks and civilian cars are being destroyed on all fronts. Unlike armored vehicles, these targets have little to no additional protection, with speed being their only hope. However, no matter how fast the prey is, a skilled hunter will always find the right moment to strike. No matter how fast and maneuverable a vehicle is, sooner or later it will have to stop somewhere, and that moment will be used as quickly as possible to strike. These two Russian APCs also found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Since they stopped in a highly visible spot, the first one was destroyed on the first attempt. The second one required a few more drones, but was successfully taken out as well. The first FPV drone lost connection with the operator and crashed near the vehicle, but its companion decided to approach from another angle and skillfully flew inside. In some cases, fire alone is not enough to destroy the target. Despite the flames already engulfing the vehicle from the inside, this armored vehicle continued moving for quite some time and didn't stop even after a drone strike. Perhaps it would have kept going if not for the mine. This beast turned out to be very resilient, but its fate ended the same way as its predecessors. In the Donetsk direction, the Russians are almost completely destroying cities using guided aerial bombs, and when only ruins remain, they then attempt to capture what is left of the city. Several groups of armored vehicles attempted to take positions in the city of Chasiv Yar, thinking that all Ukrainian defensive positions had already been eliminated. They thought that the fog and bad weather would help them hide from Ukrainian reconnaissance and enter the city unnoticed. It seemed that everything was going according to plan until an explosion erupted, engulfing one of the APCs in flames. Then, another armored vehicle exploded just as unexpectedly as the first one. And then another one. The fog does indeed reduce visibility, but it works both ways. Now, the Russians can't figure out where they are being attacked from or who they are fighting against. After a few minutes, several crews began to realize they had found themselves in a very disadvantageous situation, and the best option was to flee. But it's not that simple when you're already being hunted from all sides. The Russians thought that by leaving the city, they would be safer. But it turned out to be the opposite. Drone operators were just waiting for their targets to find themselves in the open space. Some were destroyed right in the city. Others managed to make it to the outskirts and were struck there. And for some fast-moving targets, it took quite a chase before the gift was finally delivered. Of course, remote mine laying played a crucial role in this defensive operation, making it much easier for the pilots to carry out their tasks afterward. On the video, it may seem like repelling this assault was no harder for the Ukrainian military than completing a mission in a video game, but that's not the case. Only the most striking moments of enemy destruction operations make it to the internet, while everything that happens behind the scenes will never be broadcasted. During assaults, the attacking side usually suffers much higher casualties than the defending one. But without sacrifices, stopping the enemy is practically impossible. Especially since after abandoning their equipment, the Russians typically flee to the nearest shelter. In this case, it's the ruins of a city, where the only option to eliminate the enemy will be close quarters gunfights. In such battles, the chance of dying is very high. The drone's camera managed to capture this brave moment. A wounded Ukrainian soldier was preparing to throw a grenade into a room where Russian soldiers had taken cover, but they made the first move. The Ukrainian soldier didn't hesitate and first threw his own grenade at them and then tossed theirs back. So, give a thumbs up to the brave Ukrainian soldiers who relentlessly defend their land at any time of year, under any conditions.